I've considered myself as someone who's made the massively incorrect decision when it came to what class I chose at the start of this game. And now unlocking all the classes, because that's the cool, unique thing about this game, right, is that you can play as any single class in the game. You're not just locked into choosing one and then stuck with it and having to restart and respec or whatnot at the start of the game, you know, to go all the way to the beginning like other MMOs. You're going to be able to choose any of the classes long-term to be whatever you want to main, and you can mix and match. That's the way the game's designed. But because you can mix and match, that then kind of tells you that there are going to be certain classes that are more optimal earlier on and some maybe for the later game. And I just want to kind of put this out there so that you guys don't make the same mistakes that I did. Now, straight off the bat, I just want to say, do not choose Trooper. Trooper is exactly the class that I chose. When I'm playing games like this, I instantly think of Trooper or that kind of like gun guy, and that's what I'm going to go with. You know, the fact that they have stuff on the trail like the explosive grenade, I was all for that. The assault seeker, the collapse grenade, just all kinds of... I just heard grenade and I'm all in. Like, give me a grenade in a game. I'm happy. Like, it really makes me happy to be able to just toss my grenade and blow up a bunch of enemies. And although the grenade is really good, and we just have to point this out, to this stage of the game, I still use the grappling hook. It's probably the best skill in the damn game. And with all that information, you might be going, well, why the hell would you not pick Trooper? It sounds like you made the right choice. Well, because in the starting area of the game, you're going to have a few hours before you're able to just go and unlock Trooper and do a little quest line, and then there you go. You're going to have Trooper Tier 1, which is what you would start the game out with. So this really does give you the ability in this starting area to have two different classes, and I didn't know about it. So this is the biggest mistake you could make. I think of all the classes, this is the only one where it's kind of like a no-brainer that you would never, ever choose. I don't get why they don't tell you this. It really irritates me. But this is the only no-brainer class to not choose. You just wouldn't choose it. Now, there's some great skills on here, like the durability of weapons and stuff. You're going to have extra weapon damage for heavy weapons, but you're not really going to have a heavy weapon until later into the game. You also get scattergun damage. The GRDA and the drill shot, I didn't use until later in the game as well. So really, a lot of these are just, you know, don't put your points in them. The big thing when you get Trooper, right, is completely up to you. I like the range damage. I would put points into that straight away and try and get yourself up to this side of the skill tree for field maintenance and for gunsmith. But probably the biggest thing for me, you need the sugar wire claw. You need it. It's going to help you get around. This place has mountains that you have to climb constantly. That is the one skill that I would say in Trooper, go and grab your passives. This is a great passive. The suspensor efficiency is going to mean that your suspensor belt doesn't, you know, break as often, which they do break a hell of a lot. But this is all you need, really. In the early game, come in, get this, take it. Yeah, the other passives are great, but this is the key reason why you want Trooper. Being able to just fly yourself up a mountain like this with a leap suspensor belt. Oh, it's beautiful. It is genuinely beautiful. And not that I plan to do this in any kind of order, but the next class that I'm going to talk about is also another class that I think you should probably not pick at the start of the game. And that class is Mentat. Now, before we actually go into the class and, like, the reasons why I think this is a good class, because I do think that it is a good class, but Mentat, again, I don't want to ruin the map too much. From the starting area, you're going to come up to another area, and very early on, as long as you beeline for this, understanding where it is, it's in this area here called Hagar Rift, which is very close to the next kind of main point of interest. You're going to be able to go to a Harkonnen base where you can literally just go and pick up Mentat straight away. So I genuinely would say that in the first 5 to 10 hours maybe of this game, you can have both classes. You could just have both classes along with the class you chose. This, to me, just makes it seem less likely to start with. But let's talk about why potentially you should start with this class. Now, I'm going to talk about some skills that I didn't particularly use, but they are usable skills. Now, obviously, with Trooper, you have a lot of stuff that goes kaboom and you blow stuff up. With Mentat, it feels like a little bit more of that support kind of skill. Now, you can use poison a lot. There is this little poison shot here. Boom, blows up, surrounds the enemy with poison. It's going to take a long time to kill the enemy with this. It's a long cooldown, and I kept running into it and getting killed by myself. This game is very unavoidable to not do melee combat. And you will see that if you put that poison down, which I will do again here in a second, say I put the poison down there and then I'm fighting, I'm now bloody poisoned. So, it just, I don't know. for me, it just instantly made me think, right, well, this isn't really worth it, because I have poison resistance at this point. You can see my health is going down, but I'm not dying too quickly. I'd be dead at this stage. So the poison just wasn't for me. You can also put a poison mine down, which actually is quite good, because you can shut the poison mine down, and then a shielded enemy is going to come and get hit by the poison mine. Would I haven't used it. I don't use it, but it is a usable skill. And then, of course, I actually do quite like this shield. If you're getting absolutely wrecked, you can just come and duck under this shield and just survive for a little bit longer. But for me, the most important thing that you can get from this is this turret. This is the best thing that you're going to be able to use. And early on in the game, this is actually really handy. As you get into the later game, I don't really use this turret anymore. But what's cool about the turret is it's going to help take down shielded enemies. It's just going to help clear up some of the enemies when you start getting surrounded, especially earlier in the game, when you don't have a ton of weapons, and it does detonate at the end. Along with that, you do have the passive marksman. Now, this is one of the passes that you have to put in here, but it just gives you better damage from headshots. I'm always going to be on board with that. I use a sniper. You have stuff here that's going to help you with your garments. So, you know, you had gun stuff, you know, the gunsmith stuff with the trooper. This is going to mean that your armor sets don't degrade as quickly. It also has a passive for range damage. Another thing that's really good. I enjoy using snipers in this game. Anything that you could use long distance to start picking off some of the enemies is always extremely good. Then you got pistol damage, rifle damage. I just genuinely think the passives in Mentat are actually really good, especially good for someone who's going to be using a gun. Now, there are skills that I haven't unlocked yet. I have looked at them. The gravity mine doesn't do anything for me. Iron Will doesn't matter to me. Now, there are these other abilities later in the game, especially this Hunter Seeker. I like the look of this. And Shield Overcharge, I like that as well. That you're going to get when you level up the tiers of the character. I believe at tier 3, you get the Assassination, the Tactician, all of them. But as this thing stands, and this is for people who are kind of newer to the game. I mean, I'm in the mid-stage of the game, and I still haven't unlocked everything. I just feel like Mentat is another one that you don't need to get. And when you get it, you're going to have enough skill points then at that stage saved up to kind of start speccing into the stuff you want. What is really cool about this one is once you take the Sentinel, the turret, which is the only thing I really think you need, it's going to give you the ability to instantly unlock all these passives. I always like the quickest route to unlock the passives on a tree. You'll find a theme in this video that I'm going to talk about the passives a lot, and that's because a lot of the classes, the passives are what make them great. Now, speaking of passives, before we do get into the final two classes, and I probably talk about my favorite class and the one I think you should choose at the start, pick up Planetologist. Again, he's in the starting area. I made a short about this. He's near the Imperial Testing Station, somewhere up here on this hill. He should be showing up, but anyway, he's somewhere up here on this hill. Go and pick him up. He's going to give you stuff like still suit abilities and the overcharge, the compaction. He just gives you a lot in terms of, this one's one of my favorite. Tinkering with your power pack allows you to increase the recharge rate. Getting more recharge in your power pack, especially when you start using shields, is absolutely insane. So yeah, I mean, he's just got tons of great passes, like the Mountaineer as well. You're going to find it easier. It's climbing stamina drain minus 25%. I want to get this to tier 3 as quickly as possible. But you're going to get tier 1 of him in the starting area. I just wanted to give a quick shout out. He isn't a class that you could choose at the start, or a class that you could be at the start, but it is really important to this game. Now, before we get to my favorite, let's talk about the most recent class that I picked up, and maybe talk about why you should or shouldn't pick this class. Now, that class is the Bene Gesserit. Now, if you watch the TV show, you probably do like the idea of being a Bene Gesserit, and I will admittedly state that I haven't used many of the skills, and some of these skills do sound fantastic. I really like this one, and in fact, in the future, I'm thinking about tying this into some skills that I use for the final class that we're going to talk about. The Bene Gesserit, though, I'm instantly going to put this out there. You do get this class later in the game, but there's probably a reason for that. You don't really need this class until later in the game. There is the run, the sprint, it just doesn't do alt for me. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not terrible. It's going to help you cover distance, but I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me, and it drains your stamina so quick. So, yeah, do I cover distance a bit quicker? But the sprint is probably one of the selling points of the class, but it wasn't a selling point for me. I haven't really looked at Compel yet, but again, when I look at Compel, it seems like an okay skill, But the main thing I want to talk about here is, once again, the passives, because this is something that you're going to be choosing as a class to start out as. Is the sprint better than the grappling hook? No. Is the sprint useful? Yes. The passives for blade damage, I absolutely love. Short blade, not so much, because I don't use the daggers, but the blade damage, I was all over this. I'm going to spec that up as much as humanly possible. Melee combat is unavoidable in this game. Now, recovery is a very strong passive. You're going to heal back quicker. Sun tolerance, great. Poison tolerance, great. Self-healing, great. Vitality, great. You're going to give yourself so much survivability by choosing the Bene Gesserit, but also at the same time, stuff like poison tolerance, you don't really come up against any enemies that are going to poison you until later in the game. So a lot of these passives, I'm going to base it on early game skills, right? And what early game skills you would use. And apart from the strikes, I guess potentially you could say the sprint, the step as well. My friend chose Bene Gesserit to start the step. It's okay. It just wouldn't be for me. This is all again down to preference. But this just set of skills isn't for me. I'm loving the passives later in the game now that I'm coming up against more difficult enemies. But again, I would say the Bene Gesserit, since I've had it, I've only had it for the past like 5 or 6 hours of game time. I just don't think that this is the best class to start out. From reading the skills, from looking at the passives, I just don't feel the need to have Bene Gesserit anytime soon. That's going to lead us then to the main point of this video and which class you should start out as. But it's always good to know why potentially you shouldn't start as certain classes, but also you might be hearing the information and going, no, actually, that sounds like the class I want to start as. Apart from Trooper, I think any of the classes are more than viable to start at. But for me, after a little bit of time, I quickly learned that Swordmaster, in my opinion, is by far the best class to start the game with. Now, as you will see, I do kind of always go through the skill trees and just pick and choose what I think is going to be worthwhile to me. You have limited skill points in this game, so eventually you'll be able to unlock a lot of things, but I wanted to look around and see what was going to be good for me. But let's talk about the passives first. Long blade damage, you've seen that already. I fell in love with melee combat recently. You've got blade damage in totality here as well, but melee combat for me, it changes the way you play the game. When you start the game, you're probably going to hate melee combat. You might not do, but I did. And now I absolutely love it. I'm going in, I'm smacking everyone with my sword. I stab them all. Optimized hydration, huge. Field medicine, great. So, survivability. General conditioning, stamina. It maxed stamina by 20. I can't explain how annoying stamina drain and regaining stamina in this game is. When I saw that Swordmaster gives you the ability to regain stamina or have more stamina, I was all in. I also use this one, Disciplined Breathing. Gives you recovery rate quicker. I usually have this down here. Let's just take this off. And it just helps you recover your stamina a lot quicker. Now, let's talk about skills real quick. I have only really found 2 that I'm happy with. I'll come flying in with this knee, hit an enemy, and then I will give it a little bit of this. And that's it. That's literally it. The passives are the best, I find. You're going to be doing so much more blade damage. So at the start of the game, if you hit someone with a blade, let's go and actually fight someone. Because I genuinely do love this class, and it was the one that I would have stayed away from the most at the start of this game. Now, there should be some enemies in here that we can go and just mess up a little bit. I'm going to give it some of this. I'm going to give it a little bit of that. And then that should kill. No, this should kill. There we go. They've made these enemies better. And I'm just going to chop my way through. I'm just going to chop my way through. Look at that. Once you kill an enemy, it empowers your blade. It's absolutely insane. Because it just ignores all shields at that point once you've empowered the blade. And you're going to wreck through people. Now, did I do that the most optimally? No. Because I was just making the video and just charged in and hit people. But you can be a lot more optimal. I would have maybe lined them up. What I really like to do is pair my attacks with the Sugawaya, because once you grapple an enemy, it throws them off balance. You can then run in with the knee and then smash X to just big damage. And I've been playing like this now for the past 20 hours really since I unlocked Swordmaster, and I wish I could have gone back to the beginning and played this way all along. It has genuinely changed my gameplay experience. As the game gets a little bit harder and you find that most weapons apart from a sniper can't pierce the shield, you find yourself being forced into melee combat, but melee combat that you're not enjoying or you're finding not fun at all. I will admit, I've ended up with some really cool melee weapons, such as this spark sword right here. But regardless, I think picking Swordmaster is probably the best thing to do. And I think he's going to be the most fun at the start of the game. But that's just my opinion on the classes. Let me know your opinion down below in the comments. Let me know what class you actually chose. And if you regret choosing that class now because you've ended up using another class more. There's tons of builds. Tons of different things that you can do in this game. A lot of it is going to depend on what weapons you get. With semi-random drop rates, you never know what you're quite going to get. I've ended up being quite lucky with some of the weapons I have. Friends of mine that have played the game don't have their said weapon. But all in all, like I said in the video, I think every single one of these is viable and any of them is absolutely fine to use. At the end of the day, I chose Trooper and felt like an absolute idiot once I realized I could unlock Trooper right in the starting area. It hasn't stopped my enjoyment of the game, and I still really enjoy the Trooper skill tree to the point now where I'm at tier 2 with it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the game. I hope you're enjoying the videos. New to the channel, smash subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.